Hey there, you amazing patrons. It's X, and I'm here with Kyle and Felicia, and this is the Utah Outcasts Secret Patron Show. I used to kind of give people a hard time about, being freeloaders and stuff, but I don't do that anymore. It's $1 a month. If you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. Whatever. Don't care. This is our special content we provide to the folks who are generous enough to share at least $1 a month with us, and if you're one of those, welcome to the show. We really are glad to have you along. Let's go ahead and get started with our topic that we have for this week. Originally, it was going to be the news item, and Felicia's seen this. I'm not sure if Kyle saw it either, where it was the how to talk to ladies with headphones on.
Oh, yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Except it ended up becoming that's a 5-second answer to a 1-minute question.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't.
There you go. And if you do anything that he says to do in that fucking website that he wrote,
right,
you're a fucking idiot for thinking that.
I mean, but like with a little bit of an asterisk, because maybe you might need to talk to them, but not like to hit on them, but like your shoes on fire.
Yeah, that's about the only time that'd be warranted,
Excuse me. Hi. There's a scorpion on your shoulder?
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's a snake, and it's crawling up your leg.
Oh, and you missed it last week.
You might need to take care.
You missed last week's Patron Show where we had the Ray Comfort video where he claims that atheists believe that only apes have vocal cords.
Yeah. That only humans have vocal cords.
Only humans have vocal cords. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Nope.
You can't think it. You can't think it out because it was dumb. It was so very
dumb.
dumb.
Like, I was like, I'm pretty sure most things have vocal cords, like that vocalize.
Yeah, I mean, really, the first problem is always stating what somebody else, or specifically a group of people.
Oh yeah, we hit that one.
That's, I mean, you're always going to go wrong there.
How about you don't tell the atheists what they believe? Let's start there. Okay, so we're not doing that one. We did that last week. I'm bringing it around back to this, where we're going to talk about a article I found on a website called My Life by gogogoff.com. So there's go like ff.com.
Oh, okay.
And it is the Write the Book of Mormon 30-point challenge for skeptics is what it is. We're going to break this up over a couple weeks. We're going to do part 1 this week, maybe do part 2 next week. I want to bring it back to it because this is their notes, and we'll bring it up next week as well.
Okay.
I was going through my notes when I found this paper that my trainer from my mission gave me. Yeah, this is Jordan Peterson doing this one, guys. There are only 2 options when it comes to the Book of Mormon. It's either a true record, and Joseph Smith is a prophet who is called to translate it, or it is a forgery, and Joseph Smith wrote it, was a con man who made it all up. That's not how you make. That's not a binary situation that you're talking about here. You're talking about something that exists on a spectrum. Okay, say if it was a true record, we don't have any evidence of it. That doesn't make Joseph Smith a prophet. That's conflating 2 things. If the record's true, you also have to prove that he also is a prophet, unless he actually dug something up from the fucking woods. If he dug something up from the woods and he found a record of the shit, that doesn't make him a prophet. It makes him a scribe of an ancient text. That doesn't make him a fucking prophet. Anyway.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, there's more than one. That's a false dichotomy.
Right. But the other problem there is kind of a subtext. They don't understand what a prophet actually
That's
is.
true. You guys.
So that
for people living outside of Utah, you need to understand that Mormons have their own definitions for a lot of basic words.
They do. They understand prophet differently. How have I not learned this yet?
No, that's just what they do.
They have their own.
That's how
they like circumvent and they get around all this shit.
It's like the guys that do this in their videos and stuff. It's like, yeah, we know what you're doing there. You're not being funny about it.
Okay, but what do they think a prophet is? Because I thought a prophet was just somebody who spoke for God.
Someone that prophesizes things,
Yeah.
Or in their church, he's the leader of the church.
But
the guy.
I know that he gets revelations and stuff, right?
Right. But
so how is that different? How the Muslims
a revelation is only
Revelation means something else too.
Told him something. That's like,
yeah, but everyone can get revelations in the Mormon Church, right?
So not really, I guess. I don't know.
Well, the way they say it, the way they say it is like,
but
you can get revelations for yourself, and if you're a woman, you can have revelations for yourself and your children. And if you're a husband, you can get revelations for yourself, your wife, and your children. And then, like, your bishop can get revelations for the entire congregation. And then, like the quorum of the 12 can get revelations for everyone. And then the prophet, like, supersedes all those. Which, I mean, it means there's going to be
stop. It's time to stop, okay? It's time to stop.
So
I mean, it doesn't.
Sorry.
It just
don't mean to play you off there, but
doesn't really make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
It's a doo-doo definition that they have.
Right.
We're going to make people do a little bit of homework on this. You can look all this stuff up. And so he says either it's a true record or it's a forgery. True record, forgery, story being told. You could go on about what this thing was, the Book of Mormon, what it was. It's not
scholars who translate ancient texts aren't prophets for those ancient gods.
It's not
right.
A,
well, I mean,
it's not B. It could be C, D, E, F, and G's. And also, him being a prophet or a con man. There are shades in between prophet and con man. Or in our belief, it's one and the same. I mean, with the atheists,
it's kind of one and the same. But to paint it in a different in a different light, it's either fiction or nonfiction.
Yeah. And so the person here writes up, he continues here. So what is it? True record or forgery? Well, let's look into what it would take to write the Book of Mormon. I invite you to take the 30-point challenge to write the Book of Mormon. Here's the challenge. Can you accept it?
Yeah.
Okay. So keep in mind that he's asking a 30-point challenge. So each one of these is supposed to be a challenge to writing the Book of Mormon, right? Okay. Let's get with number 1 here.
Okay.
Write a history of ancient Tibet covering a period from 600 BC to 450 AD. Why ancient Tibet? Because you know no more about Tibet than Joseph Smith or anyone else knew about ancient America.
Okay, but he was wrong about ancient America, like 100% wrong.
And I wrote down, I said, okay, well, seeing how we can just toss aside actual history of that area, as he did with America.
Like, I can make up whatever I want about Tibet, right?
And just make shit up, and this is easily done. There's nothing in the Book of Mormon corroborated by modern archaeology.
Nothing.
They
so,
keep trying.
Nothing at all.
I just have to write, like, an epic history, like,
right,
yeah,
right,
like Tolkien did the Silmarillion for... Like, N.K. Jemisin did for a 3-book series? Like, what?
Right, but you have to make tapirs horses. I mean, that's...
And you have to go after every battle and pick up every shred of any kind of alloy that was there, because we didn't have those here in the Americas at the time.
I'm making it up. I don't have to pick up anything. I'm just saying it takes place in Tibet. Like, some of their, like, architecture that we know, like, exists, like, pyramids and shit like that, because Tibet had pyramids, too. And, like, throw some 6-armed gods in there, and there we go. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
History.
Well, it's, basic storytelling problem solving. Just say they used wooden swords.
Okay, so you guys have
they just use pointed sticks, and they'll decompose.
Tibet had advanced metals, though, because Tibet's right next to China, and China, like, Tibet was parts of China for a lot, like, in and out for history. I'm sorry, I'm already using more history of Tibet than Joseph Smith in American history. Sorry, I already used more.
And that's the beautiful thing about it, is, like, this is challenge question number 1. Wait, number 2 is, this is the challenge here. You are 23 years of age. That's the challenge. That's not a challenge. Like, lady, you don't know what I was up to at age 23. Also, how is this part of the fucking challenge? You're like, oh, you're 23. Like, okay. I've known people that have made up stories all their lives.
I wrote a whole epic about, like, I wrote a whole 1-act play at 17. Wasn't great. About the Amazons, and one Amazon queen that I read a paragraph about, and then I'm like, I'm writing a story about her. And I did. Wrote a whole paragraph. Her and, like, another Greek hero had a love moment, but it was surprisingly, it was very much like the love scene in Wonder Woman, where her and Steve Trevor kind of like go into a room, and then she like gives him the eyes, and he like walks back in and closes the door. That was like almost the exact same scene I wrote as a teenager. Great.
Wait, so are they trying to imply that at 23 years old you can't make up something that good?
Well, and let's
or
also
that comprehensive.
Let's also keep in mind that this is like North America, like turn of the century, age 23. So essentially, at that age, you're 50. You know?
Yeah, pretty close. But
also, no,
that's a lot of fucking hard living. That's all I'm saying.
But also, at age like 13. 13 to 14, I wrote like 100 pages of world building for a fantasy world that I was going to write that I never wrote, but I did like 100 pages of world building before I started writing it. Like I had their correctional institute. Oh, by the way, it was totally fascism that I was writing about. Didn't know I was writing about that, but I totally described fascism. Because I don't know, I'd read enough dystopia by then. Like
you and Heinlein, you know.
So yeah, like by the time I was 14, I had 100 pages. It's gone now because it was on a floppy disk. I had 100.
Don't you?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. 14?
Don't you remember putting something on a floppy disk and go, "I'm gonna have this forever now." It's safe forever.
And the funny thing is that wasn't a floppy disk. That was like one and a quarter. It like
the one and a quarter. Yeah, they just
not the floppy disks I remember.
Yeah,
the ones that were actually fucking floppy.
Yeah, no, it was one of the like advanced floppy disks. Like I had 100 pages of world building that I did.
Okay,
like
number.
No, Liz, this is ridiculous because how many 23-year-olds? I mean, really, seriously, 23 years old. Most people are like at a lot of people are at a university level. How many people take these massive tests with massive essays without studying a goddamn thing? Like I didn't go to half my classes and suddenly I have to write an essay on something. You better believe.
Yeah, I got good at bullshitting really well.
I was taking questions for my shit because I was like, I could fucking
All right, point number 3. Let's get moving because we're never going to finish if we keep doing this. You have had no more than 3 years of formal school education and have spent your life in backwoods farming communities.
That's not a challenge.
I'm going to say, Joseph Smith also spent a lot of those years bilking people out of money by being a treasure digger.
Yeah.
Claiming that he was also into the occult pretty heavily at that time too. So I mean,
and
then this was during that grand explosion of religion in New York State at the time, where you get like the Seventh-day Adventists, the J-Dubs,
Yeah,
but
the American Reformation, is that what? American Reformation.
But they're at that point in time they're overvaluing what was formal education at that time.
Also, does she not think
most people didn't have a formal education?
I don't even know if this is a lady, but I keep addressing them as lady. Lady, you don't know me.
Well, that's sexist.
Only because it's going to fuck up any guy that if he wrote the article and this comes back to him, he's going to be like, I'm not a lady. How dare they say these horrible things? It's like, it's the same thing as saying Mister. I mean,
that's funny.
Anyway.
But like, does she not think that like people made up stories on the? Has she never like made up a story on the fly to tell her kids?
It doesn't sound like it.
Dad, all growing up, he used to tell story upon story upon story upon story about my sister and I going on these adventures, and like they build on each other night after night, like episodes. I don't know.
It's not it. It's a tradition that is as old as humanity and civilization itself.
Yeah.
Storytelling, yeah, that's a thing we do.
And I wonder, how is this a challenge? Because I have had 3 years of formal schooling, never got the bachelor's or anything like that because it's only 3, and I'm doing pretty fucking well for myself. I've met a boss that I work with he's like 5 years from retirement, and he just barely got his bachelor's degree. So there is a chance that you can do just fine without the formal education. You don't need to be feeling so snooty about it.
Yeah, I have a friend who is a refugee. Not Ethiopian. Hold on. What's the one without a government? Somalia.
Somalia.
Somali refugee. Yeah. Somali refugee. She had 3 years of formal education by the time she moved to the United States as a refugee at 18 years old. She just got accepted to medical school. So...
Yep, there you go. So, question number 4, or challenge number 4. We might break this up into 3 different ones because we're only on 4, and we're like like a quarter hour into this thing. Your history must be written on the basis of what you know. There was no library that held information for Joseph Smith. Bullshit. You must use none. There is to be no research of any kind. Which you're already off on a bad premise because Joseph Smith used the New Testament and the Old Testament
he had
to heavily build. He had. There was a book that was written at the time that Joseph Smith started writing the Book of Mormon, where he heavily plagiarized the idea of the Native Americans being a Jewish tribe from the lost Jewish tribe from whatever the fuck.
And his syntax is wrong.
Yeah.
His syntax of these and thous is intensely wrong. He knew that they kind of used it, but he didn't use it properly.
Let's just put it this way. A book that bids you adieu in it.
It says adieu. It does. It says adieu.
Fuck your book.
Yeah.
Fuck your religious book if it says that in there.
Right.
It says adieu. It says adieu. Oh, God, it's so funny.
Adieu, mon Dieu.
The real ridiculous part about this is they lay out all of these things as being remarkable. But what would have been remarkable is, if he didn't have a strong education, if he didn't have all these resources, and turned out something that he could not have possibly turned out. Mm-hmm. If it was language that he couldn't even possibly come up with.
How come he didn't name anything like the Mayans or like tapirs or fucking quinoa, which by the way is a South American native name for it. Quinoa is the South American native name, and I can't remember if it's Mayan or Incan derivative, but quinoa is how it's pronounced. It's how it's been pronounced since forever. And they used
you mean
quinoa.
That quinoa?
Yeah, I mean quinoa. Quinoa is native. It's Southern American, Southern Native American. That's what it is. And how come he doesn't mention quinoa ever
as a staple of their foods? You know.
Yeah, he talks about their food. He talks about food that they eat.
Talks about wheat and barley and a couple of other ones that hadn't made its way to the New World yet.
Just yet. But no, doesn't mention fucking quinoa.
Nope. Okay, so this part I said, this is easily done. If you keep it vague about actual locations, if you don't know any, if you make up the names, and also you keep the story going on and on about different lineages and pepper it with, stolen King James Bible lines directly lifted from it, which you can look from the King James Bible into the Book of Mormon, and there is a whole cloth plagiarism going on there.
Yeah.
The exact same sentence phrases. Like everything's the same. He might just change a name, which is going to tie into another thing here in a second. But challenge number 5. Your history must be 531 pages and over 300,000 words in length. Lady, I went to college. Page count ain't shit. Also, he didn't write this shit.
Page count doesn't matter.
He didn't write this. He read it.
He did not.
Read it.
He dictated
from his hat.
He dictated it. I mean, if you want to talk about if everything we've ever said on this show
was put into a book,
that book's fucking long.
It would be a couple of volumes.
It's not hard to just dictate something, especially if you're
making
copying
it up.
And if you're cutting and pasting, if you're cutting and pasting from other work, it's not that hard.
I guarantee I have written more than 500 pages in my life. I would be shocked if I wrote only 500 pages in my life at this point. With how much I've written, with how much I just sometimes just for funsies, sometimes working out ideas, sometimes actual world building, like when I was a teenager, all that stuff. If I have not written 500 pages by now, I would be shocked. I would be like, no, I've written at least 1,300.
Oh no, it's only 450. Time to double space.
Yeah, no, and again, I went to college too, so
yeah.
We need to go back and we need to make this part longer. We need to make this part longer.
God. When I took my, I was in high school, but I was in an AP class, so I got college credit for it. But I took AP literature. Not one of our essays was allowed to be more than 2 pages long because she said, write with brevity. Like it was a challenge because because
that professor didn't have fucking all day to read this shit.
Yeah, they didn't have.
That's how you. She was smart.
And if you're saying something, you should be able to say something within 2 pages.
Yep, exactly. So the next one is my favorite one out of this whole thing because this person, I'm going to make it a she. I don't give a fuck who it is. I'm going to make this misogynist asshole pissed off by calling him a lady every fucking time. So other than a few grammatical corrections, other than a few, let's just keep that in mind. Other than a few grammatical corrections, you must have no changes in the text. Fuck you. Okay, hang on. There's a little bit more to it. The first edition, as you dictate it to your secretary, must stand forever. Fuck you. Whoever wrote this, you are...
And delightsome. That was not a grammatical change, motherfucker. White and delightsome?
I will try to remember. If I don't, please let me know to link it in here because I found a thing called it's MormonHandbook.com and it lists 5,000 changes to the Book of Mormon since its publication in 1830.
And those are not just grammatical changes either.
We have doctrinal changes between the Godhead, where it says in 1 Nephi here, behold, the virgin which thou seest is the mother of God. And then it changes it to the 1837 and subsequent editions. It says the virgin who seest is the mother of the Son of God, not the mother of God, you know.
Ooh, see
that's not a grammatical change.
Let's see.
Not a grammatical change.
No, that's a change in the fucking Godhead. That's a big fucking change. Racism. Second Nephi that you brought up, 30:6, white and delightsome people. Changed to, in 1981, pure and delightsome people. I wonder why.
How very convenient.
How about 2 Nephi chapter 5? Receive a skin...
Find about black people.
Receive a skin of blackness. And then in the 2010 online edition, it says, cut off from the presence of the Lord. It changed it there. You have all sorts of errors. You have Christ was named too soon. You have King Benjamin still being alive after he was dead in his own book. You telling us that we have to keep all this straight. Let's see. There was more changes. Let's see. From the thousands in the book, many of the thousands, like, and come forth out of the waters of Judah. And it says, and come forth out of the waters of Judah, or out of the waters of baptism. Like, they just add shit in. Whole lines they're adding in here. It is bullshit that this person thinks that it's never changed since the fucking first edition. Fuck you.
So, getting the syntax wrong means he didn't translate it properly. Getting the syntax...
Yeah, that's kind of the...
Everything.
Yeah, that's kind of the crux of the whole argument story, isn't it?
If God is showing you the words that are to be translated... He better get it fucking right.
How do you get your these, those, thine wrong? You don't.
All right, the number 7.
But I propose we go back to these and thous because they are non-gendered.
I agree. This record
not a bad idea. Yeah.
Is to contain the history of 2 distinct and separate nations, along with histories of different contemporary nations groups of people. And I added here, I said, all of them made up. We have no evidences of these towns existing, no traces of these names.
What about
nothing.
The actual fucking people? What about the actual fucking people? Okay, so like he totally borrowed the idea of pyramids and like something about reformed Egyptian. I don't fucking know. There's not Egyptian.
The reformed Egyptian is because Egyptology was fucking huge at that time in the Americas.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
There's not Egyptian hieroglyphs anywhere in the northern or southern America.
No, none of it. Okay, let's move on to number 8. We got to get this finished up. You must describe their religious, economic, political, and social cultures and institutions. cover every phase of their society, including the names of their coins. And I just said, wow, that's easily fucking done if you're just making it up.
That's not hard. That's not even a challenge.
Their coins are Birkin shells. There you go. Done.
Wow, that was really fucking hard. Okay, change your style
I don't know where I even got that. That's just a word. I was like, that sounds like a thing that could be a coin. Birkin shell. There you go. Done.
Change your style of writing many times. Many ancient authors contributed to the Book of Mormon, each with their own style. And I was like, yeah, characters in books speak differently. That's how being an author works, you fucking idiot.
And also, the reason he changed wasn't because there was any consistency. It's because he forgot what he'd said.
Yeah. If you just
really? Do you think that's it? Maybe.
How about the, what the hell was her name? Lucy, I forget her name, that suggested to the husband that was buying into this. She's like, hey, how about we just hide this manuscript and see if he can retranslate
See if he can reproduce it, yeah.
And he couldn't because God was mad at him.
Right.
He couldn't. That's like the simplest fucking test.
Lucy Harris? Is it Lucy Harris, I think.
Yeah, Lucy Harris.
It was Martin Harris was the idiot. That's right.
Didn't they end up getting divorced? I'm pretty sure they end up getting divorced.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Which is
rare
time.
Yeah, because
really rare time, but
Martin Harris.
I'm pretty sure like God told Joseph to tell Martin that you should divorce that woman. She's
when they were tripping balls on LSD. God,
she's bad for the job.
Okay, here's the last one before we break it off, and it's gonna be an hour and a half of us doing this thing. Not this week. We'll do it some more. Oh, yeah. We'll probably take a couple of weeks off and come back to this because fucking hell.
From now on, I'm referring to capital as Birkenshell.
All right, number 10. Weave into your history. Sorry, the religion of Jesus Christ and pattern of Christian living. And I say, I can bring tales of the Juggernaut into or any story I've ever read.
That's not hard to do, yeah.
Supernatural. Have they seen the show Supernatural? Supernatural just did that. Just was like Christian religion, ours now. Like,
and my perfect example for this is, or I have two of them: Abe Lincoln, Vampire Hunter, and Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
It's not hard to do.
You take a Jane Austen book and you fucking throw in zombies. It's not hard.
That's the thing, is that using a mythology that has been developed, American gods. You use a mythology that has been used as a storytelling technique before, and you add it back. Like, how have they seen the movie Stigmata, where Patricia Arquette gets Stigmata? How about the Exorcist?
Your mother sucks cocks in hell.
Yeah. Like, how many stories have utilized Christian mythology as like woven in?
All of them, basically. Yeah.
Every scary movie I've ever seen. It's pretty much. It's not other religions' scary stories. It's Christianity because that's what we were brought up with in this country. You know.
Right. This is not hard to do. This is something that's happened over and over and over again over the course of all of human history. It's not uncommon. It's not novel.
We play with stories. The Star Wars is just the archetypal tale. Now, that's not the Christian mythology, but it's just a rehash of stories that have been told for centuries upon centuries upon centuries.
And a lot of this...
You just have to do like a Kurosawa film in space, and that's it. Ta-da!
Exactly. And I was going to say a lot of the shots that made up Star Wars were kind of lifted from other films of the time, you know?
All of them. Yeah.
I was trying to give him a little more credit.
We stand on the shoulders of giants. We stand on the shoulders of giants. No one made up the hero's tale. No one was like the first one to write the hero's tale. Like, it just happened out of storytelling. That's just kind of how it worked out.
To be fair, I'm sure there was somebody who came up with it first, but it was like
we'll never know.
It was like Grog in cave number 27 in the year like 3000 BC.
BCE.
CE. Yeah, right, it was just some dude.
we're gonna cut it off here
Or
because
lady.
that was
Our first.
Dude is gender neutral.
sorry. Yeah, well, that's one we work on. We try to make dude gender neutral, but no one wants it. So I don't blame them. Okay, so we're gonna cut it off at claim number 10 because number 11 is just. Oh my God! And there's more of them to go. I mean, God, let's look at. I'm gonna bring up. I'm gonna bring it up. No commenting on it. And let's see. It's call down an angel from heaven in the middle of the day to have him bear testimony to 4 honest, dignified citizens of your community. Womp womp womp. We'll come back to that in a couple of weeks.
Womp womp.
Got a lot of words about that.
Yeah, this is one we're gonna get into the asshole of for quite a while. So. I found this and I was just clapping my hands. I'm like, this is so stupid. I can't believe they're this dumb.
From
and
now
they
on, Capital Show
It's gonna be so much. We can milk this for a while.
And this is somebody being completely sincere. They think that this is like honest, like, haha, atheist, gotcha. And it's like, no, your whole premise is wrong. Everything is wrong here.
Tolkien's world was way more consistent and way more detailed than anything in the Book of Mormon. I'm not kidding. Like, yes, down to religion, down to currency, down to everything.
Oh, yeah.
Meals hobbits eat.
And gods and monsters.
If you take all those books and you hide them in a cave and then just wait 1,000 years for somebody to find them,
they're going to think that's something that really happened, you know?
It can come across as a legitimate history.
Oh no! That whole story of him throwing the ring into the mountain—that's metaphor for destruction of evil. You know?
Well, sure.
Oh God!
What about Game of Thrones? He developed not one, but 3 different religions. 3. He's got
and
the
languages.
old gods, the new gods, and well, he didn't write the languages. Actually, they came up with the languages for the show.
Yeah,
there was none of them.
That would be a lot closer to religion because that's really about as violent as the Bible is.
Oh yeah, with way deeper character development. But not the rules of the religion are even detailed in the book.
Well, and you could also say, you know, Westeros and Essos are more likely to be actual continents that people maybe just didn't know that much about, and I can get where you're coming from with that, but we need to let the patrons go. We're at this for 30 minutes so far, and we're only 1/3 of the way through this whole thing. So check with us again in a couple of weeks. We'll have another one for you. Until then, see ya. Have a good week.